Growing up as a child, I used to hide myself in the strangest places. In a way, it was my method for scraping the various shades of grays out of my life. I never stopped to ask why I was raised like I was, in a broken home wherein I was abused more than loved. Somehow, as a child, I understood that we all had battles we were fighting or running from. For me, it was kind of both, but I had to find balance careful enough not to close the doors to myself. Every battle needs to be won, I thought, but some are best fought later on down the road. So I wrote reminders to myself and stowed them away on the top shelf, now bearing the title long since lost and forgotten. And I told myself no amount of dust will stop me from finding them. That one day I'll gain enough wisdom to remind me that this child inside has stored fragments of myself in a place longing for its finding, and a day will come that this miraculous wonder of self will have its wish granted. Standing here now, I've realized it for what it is, that there are these lost breadcrumbs somewhere, and I'd almost give anything now to find that trail again that I had already traveled once. See, the problem with rough roads is that experience doesn't much favor it, and so memory will oftentimes transform itself into a stranger, a simple passerby who stole from you and now lost truth about yourself. And so I dove fearlessly into my memories, a bungee jumper with no fears of a snapped cable, because I wanted so strongly to unbury treasures just because I had now realized they were lost. I tossed about at night thinking about the reasons why I'd ever felt the need to hide them in the first place, and there was no grace in me about it at the time. As a child, I remember thinking if they weren't carefully stored away, they'd surely die. And for all my tries at finding glorious memories, I instead found disguised was a lot of miserable pain, that what I stored was not what I had gained in life, but all of the whys for my courage, my will, and my strength. I learned that stashed away was a cold, sharp reminder of why I always try to be as great as I possibly can in every way, for every single day that I spend living and breathing. Because most times in life, we don't need to justify simply being a better person. Take, for example, a smile. A simple gesture that for a short while, even if just for a second, we're reminded that we all suffer from, for the most part, the same strife. That if ever the time came, we could cry together over the pains we share simply as being human beings. So when you go home tonight, don't waste what little time you have left today thinking about why you should be as nice as you can to the next guy. In fact, don't think about it at all. Instead, just try. Remember that for all the bad days you'll ever have, there will also be great ones. So if you can be the stranger someone needs to help them feel even slightly better during their day of gloom, then the world would be a place where someone would be there for you too. It's easy to fool ourselves into thinking that we're all not really connected, but the best piece of wisdom I can share is that we are, but we've become bested by our own lost breadcrumbs that we all once laid down as former parts of ourselves. And if you're in my realm of this forest we call life, don't be too surprised if the line of crumbs you find isn't exactly yours, because I left mine laying on the ground, hoping someone else would find a trail around misery just the same as I did, because the best gift I can give is not what pain is, but what it can offer you. So find the tools you need, whether maps, compasses, or heavy machinery, so that you can find your long-lost shelf of memories. Those lost breadcrumbs of yourself are worth sharing and having, not as a reminder of the pain you underwent, but as a reminder of the parts of yourself spent away in exchange for betterment. And when you finally find them, I only ask that you leave them there for me, because in this forest of lost breadcrumbs, I dream to see a ground covered in bread. Because we don't need reminders of our greatest pains. Instead, we need to know that what we went through was to help us grow just enough to steadfast further forward with the tools pain has gifted upon us. There is no justice for the pain we felt as children, so let it remain sitting on the floor of the forest, and tell yourself, there are lost breadcrumbs somewhere from myself, and I'll leave them there because someone else will need them more than I do.